Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. The Sony LinkBuds are something that brought some real excitement to the in-earbuds market for the first time in a while. Or should I say the open-ear market? Now this is one of the many questions I'm trying to find an answer to in today's video. So if you want to hear my take on the Sony LinkBuds or WF-L900 as the official product name says, then stick with me after the intro. Okay, so let's see what this completely new design entails. Well, as you can see, we got a set of earbuds here, which looks like nothing we have seen before. And that's mostly due to this lower circular part with a tiny hole in the middle. And this is where we can find the 12mm ring driver, which projects sound into your ears, while the hole in the middle provides you with the advantages of open-ear headphones, as your ear canals are not blocked, which means you won't lose awareness of the world surrounding you. The upper part of the buds, that little sphere with the Sony branding on it, has the battery and all the electronics inside. And the whole thing is surprisingly small and lightweight, as the buds come in at around 4 grams each. But the tiny little case and the earbuds are made mostly from recycled plastic materials, and the packaging is completely plastic-free. Sony has been on the forefront of decreasing the environmental impact of their products, and for that they deserve a big round of applause in my opinion. But back to the buds and their fit, the applause might not be as justified, at least not in my case and in my ears. The LinkBuds have this non-traditional shape with that donut-looking ring at the bottom, and we also got 5 sets of these silicone fitting supporters, which should get into the grooves under the cartilage of the upper ear. I was playing a lot around with those supporters and also with the placement of the earbuds in my ears, but I couldn't really come up with a combination that works well. Putting the LinkBuds in following the guidelines in the Sony app seemed okay at first, but then I started to feel a little pressure coming from the bottom of the donuts at my tragus. Twisting the buds a bit inwards and down gave me a touch more secure of a fit and also a bit more bass and overall volume, but then I felt the pressure right at the entrance of my ear canals. And regardless of the position of the earbuds, I never felt like the fit was 100% secure, and one of the buds even fell out of my ear during a not too intense gym workout. So even though I thought the semi-open ear design would be a great fit for running and cycling outside when I first saw the buds, I did not want to risk losing them, so I only used the WF-L900 for a short treadmill run, after which I had to come to the conclusion that these buds are not the best option for exercise. The LinkBuds are IPX4 rated, which gives you only a basic protection against sweat and splashes, but that's completely fine for casual everyday use, and so is the fit, so there is nothing to worry about there. Also, the slight comfort issues I have experienced due to the unusual design might not apply to you and to your ears at all. But again, all I can share with you is my feelings based on my own experience with the buds. And onto the case, some unusual design choices were made there too, but I rather like most of them. First of all, there is the fact that the case was mostly made from recycled automobile parts. That's one big thumbs up already. And there is the size of the case, which is so tiny that it makes it easily pocketable. Next up is the lack of magnets on the lid, as Sony opted for a physical locking mechanism which can be opened by pressing on the button on the front. It feels secure, and the lid is easy to pop up even with one hand thanks to the springy hinge. However, the lid will be flopping around unless you give it a gentle push at the top to lock it in place. I'm not sure if that was a conscious design decision, but it works. Another proof of a completely different approach is how the buds sit inside the case. It's not a magnet that pulls and keeps them inside, but instead you have to push down on the buds to make sure they actually click into place. If you don't know about it at first, you might get surprised that your earbuds won't charge at all, but it only takes a minute to get used to. Due to their small size, the batteries inside both the case and the buds are not the largest I have seen, and that reflects in the worse than average battery life too. The buds can last up to only 5.5 hours, and that's the best case scenario. I managed to squeeze 5 hours out from the buds using an iPhone and the AAC codec at around 60 to 70% volume. The case can recharge the buds another 2 times roughly, so it can give you around 17.5 hours of total playtime. These numbers are not quite top tier to say the least, and if we consider the fact that 1. It's without any sort of active noise cancellation, and 2. There is no support for wireless charging, then it makes me frown even a bit more. What helps with ironing out the wrinkles on my forehead, however, is the quick charge feature, which can give the buds enough juice for 90 minutes of use in only 10 minutes. Next up is connection. The LinkBuds come with Bluetooth version 5.2 with support for Google's Fast Pair feature. But pairing is quick and easy with any sorts of devices, regardless of the platform they use. Connection is also solid. I had no hiccups and no signal dropouts whatsoever during my tests. We have AAC and SBC as far as audio codecs are concerned. I never complain about the lack of high-res codecs with open-ear headphones, as their less than optimal sound quality does not justify the presence of such options anyway, so I just mention it here that the Sony LinkBuds do not support LDAC. They do not support aptX either, but that goes without saying, as LDAC is Sony's own high-res alternative. Regardless of all that, the buds cost 190 euros or dollars, and for that money we tend to get either aptX, LDAC or LHDC with other more traditional earbuds, but not here. What we also don't have is support for multi-point use, but either of the buds can be used on its own, independently from the other, which means support for single bud mode. Lip sync or latency is not an issue whether we watch films or play some games on our mobile phone. And now you can hear what the two mic setup sounds like during a phone call in a quiet room. My voice is a bit digital and not as natural sounding as I would like it to be, but there is nothing wrong with the clarity here. Turning on some background chatter on the speakers in front of me shows how the noise reduction algorithm can suppress the ambient noise, making my voice stand out in most scenarios. Altogether, the LinkBuds do a decent job with phone calls. Onto the controls, this is one of the novelties of the Sony LinkBuds I might consider actually useful. Having touch-sensitive interfaces built into the earbuds is not new, but besides that, we can also control the WFL900 by tapping on the area just in front of our ears. Sony calls it wide area tap. The sensors inside the buds will detect the resonance caused by the tapping, and the controls will work the same way as they would if we tapped the earbuds themselves. You can of course disable this feature in the Sony Headphones app, but why would you, as it works really well. There is one caveat though, as the available tapping actions and control functions are limited to double and triple tapping, so you cannot really have all sorts of controls at the same time. You can select between having playback, track, volume, voice assistant or a quick access to a Spotify playlist using the controls, but only 2 of them can be active at any given time. It's a bit limiting, but at least there are smart sensors on the buds for autoplay pause, and so you can choose to have track controls on one side and volume on the other, while play pause is controlled automatically whenever you take your buds out or put them back in. Also, the Google Assistant and Alexa work hands-free, so that's an option too. Siri is also supported, but only if you assign it to one of the tapping actions. The LinkBuds work together with the Sony Headphones app, which offers some basic functions such as the touch control remapping, an EQ with both presets and manual profiles, Bluetooth connection settings, spatial audio setup, and DSEE, which is Sony's own digital sound enhancement engine. You can disable the smart sensors and the wide area tap function too. One interesting but rather gimmicky feature is the adaptive volume control, which is supposed to adjust the volume of your earbuds according to the surrounding noise levels, but I left it turned off as I like to be in control of my own music. But there is yet another interesting feature which seems to be working quite well, and that's the speak to chat function, which if enabled can pause media playback as soon as you start talking, helping you in having a quick conversation with someone without having to touch or even take out the earbuds. You can set up the sensitivity and also the timing of this feature, which means that you can tell the buds how long it should take before the media playback resumes after you stop talking. So as you see, there are some great features that the Sony app and the LinkBuds have to offer. And now let's see what sound we can expect from the combination of the specially designed 12mm ring drivers, the integrated V1 processor, and the semi-open-ear design. Well, first of all, let me be clear that the sound quality of the LinkBuds is well beyond of what any other open-ear or bone conduction headphones can deliver. Bass response, detail retriever, tonality, and imaging are all better. In fact, what we get from the Sony Buds in terms of sound is almost indistinguishable from that of traditional in-ear buds, except for maybe the bass. As expected, lower frequencies suffer a bit from our ear canals not being completely sealed off. It makes the whole sound more open and sort of balanced, but the lack of energy in the bass is apparent. But as long as you listen to more acoustical music with instruments and vocals and not a lot of bass, you might not even miss any of that. However, that missing punch becomes obvious with more intense genres such as EDM or R&B. The rest of the frequency spectrum is quite well handled, we get a decent amount of detail in the mid-range and also enough sparkle in the highs to make most songs and genres enjoyable. The clarity in the mid-range makes these buds a good choice for listening to podcasts and watching movies with loads of dialogue. The sound stage is wide and spacious, there is loads of space in the sound, which is something that one would expect from an open back design. The buds can go quite loud, but they can also get a bit too bright for my taste closer to full volume. But it also means that you can easily use the buds even in some noisier places, as their sound can overpower most of the surrounding noise, as long as you crank the volume up high enough. And that's usually an area where other open-ear designs tend to fail. Sure, the general volume and intensity is not on the same level as with most traditional in-ear buds, but it's surprisingly good, and so is the sound quality. And to conclude this review, let me tell you that I really appreciate the effort Sony is putting into developing new designs, and the LinkBuds are a great example of how thinking out of the box can push things forward. But anytime a brand new idea or a new design hits the market, the first generation of such products never comes without its flaws. And the WF-L900 is no exception. Personally, my biggest gripe with these buds is that right now I cannot really place them in any category, and I fail to recognize one specific use case scenario where they could really stand out. Let me give you some examples. First, I cannot say that these buds are perfect for exercise because they are not. The fit is not super secure and the IPX4 only rating is rather average too. Second, it's true that you can easily hear announcements at an airport or on a bus, for example, but I cannot really see them as a dream come true for travelers/commuters either, due to the lack of passive isolation and ANC. With traditional ANC buds, we always have the option to choose between transparency and noise cancelling modes. Third, true music lovers are also better off with traditional in-ear buds, simply because the sound quality is not quite up to the highest standards, especially when it comes to bass. Fourth, working in an office or a home office environment might be a scenario where I can see the advantages of using such design, being aware of what's going on around you, easily having a chat with colleagues, and the mic is also decent enough, but then again, the subpar battery life is kind of a bottleneck when it comes to all-day use, and there is no multi-point support either. Fifth, casual outdoor use might be another use case where I can see the benefits of having the LinkBuds in my ears, but again, the lack of options for choosing between different ambient and noise cancelling modes limits the usability of the buds. And I could go on, but the point I'm trying to make is that being a strange mix of open-ear and in-ear design, I cannot decide whether the buds are great as they can offer the best of both worlds, or they are a flop as they can only deliver the disadvantages of each without having any meaningful advantage over either one or the other. I guess all I can say is that this is an interesting experiment from Sony, and I'm really excited to see where they can take this new idea of theirs with the next generation. Improving the sound, the fit and the battery life would be a good place to start. And maybe giving us the option to somehow seal the buds when we want to block out the world around us would make the LinkBuds a bit more versatile as far as everyday use is concerned. I absolutely root for Sony, I really do, but for now I can only recommend these buds to someone who is open to new ideas, can take advantage of the semi-open-ear approach while not being overly fussy about the sound and does not mind the complete lack of isolation. And I believe it's quite a narrow group of people, but I still hope that Sony will make it a success commercially, so we can see another generation of the LinkBuds, because the idea is superb and it only needs some polishing down the road to really make it work. And this was my review of the Sony LinkBuds. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would really be interested in hearing your opinion about this new approach in earbud design, as I believe that this is something that could push the industry towards having fresh, innovative and useful ideas, whether we agree on how good these buds actually are or not. So feel free to comment away. Thanks for watching. See you next time.